is not a test.
I want to slow the video down and analyze several areas of interest within the video. Several seconds after the police officer walks out of the frame, the blast occurs, but not in the locations you think it would. I stopped the video at the precise moment of the initial explosion. What do you see? The direction of the light spread over the camera from left to right, closer to where the officer was seen. You can see the leading edge of the initial explosion on the screen. When you see the light from the initial blast, you can also see through it, showing the RV is still intact even though a blast was said to have come from it. Is it possible the light from the explosion reached the camera a split second before the RV exploded? Not likely, since the inside of the RV walls would have blocked any initial light from reaching the camera first. Is it possible that the camera had a low frame rate or missing frames? New security systems can record in 1080i, which is high resolution, recording at a minimum of 25 to 60 frames per second, which is 1 frame per 40 to 16 milliseconds. Possible, but not likely. At this point, after analyzing the video, I realized there may have been 2 simultaneous explosions, and the video shows the RV may not have been filled with explosives at all. Let's take a look at the explosion itself. Let's take a look at the right side of the street adjacent to the RV. After the initial explosion, I took notice of the debris, where it came from, and its direction of travel through the air. It wasn't from the direction of the RV, which showed me the physical location of the blast. It became apparent that the blast wasn't from the RV, but adjacent the RV. You can clearly see the debris was being ejected from the area of the explosion. It's at this point that I realized that the explosion may not have originated where the FBI said it did. I didn't base that decision solely upon the debris direction. I saw a few other points of interest. I watched the fireball and vacuum of the explosion several times and found it didn't retreat to the left side of the road, but to the right. This is the location of the RV on the left side of the road. Excusing the crude diagram, I've marked the location of the RV relative to the explosion. If you notice the vacuum effect nearing the end of the explosion process, you'll see 2 things. The direction which the dirt and debris are being pulled on the right, and the large amount of debris on the left being pulled diagonal. The volume of dust and debris being pulled from the left of the screen is too great for just random dust such as you notice being pulled from the street on the right. As I suggested, I believe a smaller bomb exploded just milliseconds prior to the larger bomb, which the larger bomb's mechanics and properties overtook the smaller one, which is why you see more dust being sucked from the left side. After hearing about the bombing and its events about 2 hours after it happened, I noticed a pattern. The pattern being random gunshots in 4 different areas around the perimeter of the location of the bomb, having no discernible connection to anyone being reported as injured. However, the motive of the bomber is still open. The pattern I noticed could answer that, and is nearly an exact match to what I found. This is a scene from Manhunt Deadly Games, Episode 3, called Bombingham. Its release date is from February 2020. Think of the first bomb in this episode as the gunshots heard from the several areas near the RV just right before the blast in Nashville.
Both bombs were on a timer.
Big Ben alarm clocks.
How many people were injured in that first bomb, the one at the abortion clinic?
0.
There were several calls to police about gunfire around the area of the RV.
And I'm guessing that first bomb was what, 4 or 5 pounds of TNT?
4, based on the radius.
There were reports of rapid gunfire being reported from 4 different areas.
4 pounds. And nobody injured.
From the amount of gunfire that was said to have taken place, no one had called to report injuries from any gunshots.
Then, exactly 35 minutes later, the second bomb detonates.
The FBI rattled the idea that the bomber was after 5G infrastructure either because he was against it or because his father worked for Bell South, which was bought by AT&T.
Right, okay, so what are you saying?
That second bomb wasn't targeting a parking space. And that first bomb wasn't really targeting the abortion clinic. It was a decoy.
Which means the gunfire wasn't a person shooting at another or meant to injure bystanders. And the large explosion wasn't meant to destroy the AT&T building or any other building.
It's an ambush. First bomb lures the target in, the second bomb's the killer.
So the gunfire was meant to draw the attention of someone, dragging them into the area, and the large explosion was meant to ambush the actual target.
Killer. Hell, it's not an accident that big one went off 35 minutes after the first. That is the exact...
Speculation on my part suggests it was no accident that there was someone shooting off an automatic weapon from 4 different locations around the RV just 30 minutes prior to the explosion.
After the first, that is the exact law enforcement response time for a major incident.
The bomber knew exactly where we would be standing, who would be there, and when we'd arrive. To the minute.
Yeah.
So who was the ambush meant for?
I think what the bomb is telling us is the target wasn't the abortion clinic.
I speculate the bomb wasn't meant for the AT&T building or any other building in that area at all.
The target was us.
I speculate the bomb was meant for law enforcement.
This would have been the biggest law enforcement bloodbath in American history.
This television show was released in February of 2020. I believe the events of the Nashville bomber mirror this episode and its events to exact.